my bones. One must know, men have lost their course on a tourboat, drift from shore without anchor and rope, unsecure. Amazing the battering wind and the trade waters. Golgotha's Titanic, egotistic big ship got rapture. Self-destruct disaster out there on the ocean floor. We can run, hide and peek. Conscience will surely find it. Skip, jump and leap. A clean heart certainly give it. Run, hide and peek. Conscience surely find it. Kneel. Well, blameless and upright Job was allotted his own sector. 7 sons, 3 daughters, he was anointed by the Holy Father. Haile Selassie Kadama will give it to those who honor and respect his word, keep his word, fear in him heart and love for the Almighty God, adoration for the King of Kings and all the blessings therein, and also his kin in the land of Oz. He was the Wizard of Oz. Early morning, wake up and toiling, nothing funny for money. Holy Haile Selassie Kadama will see this worthy unto him. No hide and peeping. We can run, hide and peep. Conscience will surely find it. Skip, jump and leap. A clean heart certainly give it. Run, hide and peep. Conscience surely find it. Kneel, yeah. Bow down your soul and your heart, render not your garment.
Lisa,
Yeah.
Mr. Morrison, you guys are live.
Good
Oh,
evening. Good evening.
good evening, audience. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening.
And yes, thank you all, as Lisa said, for coming in and joining with us. And we do this every Wednesday, just trying to connect the diaspora with the people back home in Belize. And we try to just share our knowledge and whatever experience we have. And we, from time to time, have different guests that kind of enlighten us on what's going on the ground. So how's everything going this evening, Lisa?
It's going well. I just had a really delicious dinner from El Pollo Loco, so I feel very good.
Good, good. You didn't call me to share, but it's okay. I'm still starving, but I'm stuck at work here for a little bit more to try and finish up something. But so that's where I'm hosting it from this evening until I finish what I'm doing and then head home. But
Well, likewise, as we always do every week, I'm also at work and I take an extended 2-hour lunch to do the
okay.
show. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
The
I'm
work
happy to
keeps
do
for
it.
us, right? Work's keeping. That's the challenge when we live in the United States. Work seems to be such a prominent part of our lives and our activities that I sometime I envy the people in Belize. It seems that they get so much more free time, and sometimes it seems to me like they get the whole month of September off to celebrate the 10th of September and in the independence and all the things that goes on. Because even after the 21st, it don't look like they give up on celebration. And so
Right.
I envy that from them. But we've been having quite a bit going on in Belize recently. I think you had mentioned to me about the some of the goings on in the House of Representative, Lisa, and some of the comments the Prime Minister had made, and he also gave his national, I forgot what he called it, the national speech to the nation, where he kind of addressed the state of where the affairs of the nation is, and he kind of commented that the state of the nation was strong and it's growing and it's developing, and that's always good news to hear. There are some issues about that in my opinion. And while we remain strong, I am concerned about the burden of debt that the nation has been putting on in the last 3 years. I know we after we came out of COVID, we had the blue bond measure, and that had reduced our debt to some considerable. I think it cut it in like half, if not a third was agreed to because of the blue bond. But it seems like we have quickly in that time climbed it right back up to that. And I'm not quite sure in all instances that the money is being spent in the best interest of the people. So that's one of my concern, and it's something we go probably toss around a little bit today. Um,
Right. Quite an interesting amount of borrowing and lending. So I am sure that the taxpayers are opening up their ears to finding out what role they will play moving forward.
well, the plural life usually pays paying it back, right? It pays
Right.
back on their back. And our chairman is here. Good evening, G Mike.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Thanks for starting the show. Again, we're here every Wednesday. Uh, it's been wonderful. We don't come to our shows. We make our shows count, right? Uh, what that agenda? I see you guys were it's some introspection. I understand is going on.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about quite a bit has been going on. We noticed in the last House meeting with the leader of the opposition, and the challenge to his colleagues on his side of the bench, and then the challenge that the Prime Minister put to them to organize themselves and become a worthy opposition as the nation demands and requires, so that the people can get the proper representation they need. So that was very important. And then he also did the State of the Nation speech, which I think
Mhm.
they said had been put off for some period of time, but they have restarted it recently. And so he had indicated that the State of the Nation was strong. So I was commenting that while that may be the case, it's on the back of a lot of borrowing that's going on right now in the country. And so we, while tourism, I think, has doubled. It's like $1.5 billion above its last year level, even at this level of the year. That is great. I think we're doing some wonderful things in tourism in Belize, and I want to make sure that also the government is collecting its fair share revenue from that industry, because that is a burden to the people of Belize. It depletes our resources, it creates traffic, it uses all the infrastructure that we develop and we're ending up paying for. And so we need to make sure that there's an equitable way that the taxes that industry derive, that the government gets its fair share, so that just not the people of the country get less of the benefit when there's more to be gotten. So I'm concerned particularly about some of the bookings and stuff that are made in the United States, and I don't know if there's a way of doing proper accounting. And maybe when Mr. Cowie joins us, if he does this evening, we could see how we could make sure that those accounting that are made in the United States, those bookings and stuff that are made in the United States and just all over the world, is properly accounted for, and that the appropriate taxes in the government will be properly accounted for, so that the government can get its fair share of taxes on those.
Do you really believe that Janet Senior is sincere in wishing the opposition good luck that the advice is indeed for them to get their act together? Um,
I think,
uh,
in the interest of the nation, I have to take him from his word that he seems he seems very genuine in it. But I could agree that there might be some little bit of dust in that. But without a proper opposition, the country fails, and it doesn't look good. And what's
I
been going on, and you've been commenting on it too, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, but you see, and two different things though, because certainly the country needs a viable internet, not only need but deserves, and it is constitutionally demanded. But I have said this before that this PUP government, current PUP government, will be in office longer than the George Price PUP government was in office, which was a long time from 50 until 84.
Yeah, yeah.
This I don't see anything on the horizon resembling something that the UDP can build on, in particular, given that they're hanging on to the threads of some past that won't.
Well, if you look at how politics plays in Belize, and Mr. Koy could always speak to this, the people of Belize will take so much, and government, when they have this sort of power, they say power corrupts, and we are seeing some of this in some of the attitudes that the Prime Minister had taken already with regarding some issues, and particular my concern is with the land deal for the University of Belize, and he seems to have a little bit of arrogance about him, not willing to address it, the concern of the people, saying that this is a done deal. And so I think this kind of attitude and behavior and characterization just builds upon with winning and with this type of majority. And so it eventually it plays itself out, and the people become frustrated and recognition of it, and then they just swing the other way. And we have seen it in time and time again in the Belize politics.
There is no other way. I mean, you can swing another way when there's another way to swing to.
Well,
but if there's no other way to swing to, where are you going?
They'll organize themselves.
Organize with what? Can you name it 2 or 3 names that you can say the UDP can build upon right now and become a viable opposition? Let's be real. I mean, we can be
but when the people get frustrated and they see the power, when people see right now the opposition is in disarray because they see no way of winning. If they see a path to winning, they would quickly organize themselves. But they're frustrated with the leadership they currently have, and they're frustrated with the people that are second tier right now are still not at the level and competence that the general public is gravitating towards them. And so we're in a conundrum right now in terms and vacuum of leadership. And so they're all dysfunctional, and they're playing to that. But if there is problem in the issue of the nation and money or whatever problem might the nation face, you'd quickly see them coming together. They'll drop their differences and organize themselves to a better opposition.
Keep hope alive. I don't know who this day that you're talking about. I'm looking for them. I don't see them. I see Shine. I see a chairman. And then I see and what was so funny for me on the 10th of September when you had 2 different parades, and normally it was used to be a PUP and a UDP parade. This one were 2 UDP parades. 2
really?
Different.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, man, there were 2 parades. One with the Alliance for Democracy T-shirts and whatnot, with Tracy Pantam and them. They had their own truck, and then there was the other UDPs with another truck.
Within the same parade or
within the same parade, the same exact parade. Yeah.
Okay.
It was an interesting thing to look at. What I am not seeing what you're seeing. I understand the needs that we have. I understand what ought to be happening, but there's a matter of what ought to be and what is. What is definitely different than what ought to be, and that's just my opinion. No?
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, good evening.
Go ahead. Hi, Mr. Koyi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
We're seeing half of your face, Mr. Koyi, not the whole thing. Maybe you want to adjust your camera a little.
Oh no.
A little better, but it's still from your chin. We're not seeing your chin. We're just seeing your upper part of your forehead.
Well,
there you go.
That's perfect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say though, what viable candidates, G. Mike, do you think the UDP have out there? Do they actually have representatives or any representative with the true leadership that would want to take on the position?
Your mic's off, Jimmy. Mike.
Sorry about that. I imagine they'll have to go for and try to recruit some younger ones. They're bringing back the same old faces. I don't think they're going to get back at all with John Saldiva, Boots Martinez. These old retired, even Dean Barrow would have trouble coming back and doing anything with the UDP. I don't know that Shine can hold any of them together. I don't know if he has the experience to do that, or the humility to do it, because it takes a degree of that. I don't see it at all, and that's why I'm saying there are a couple elections down the road, at the very least.
Mm.
It's a sad state, Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is a very interesting topic, and it means a lot to me because the absence of a viable opposition in this country, and it's not the first time, but what it does, it accentuates and dramatizes the lack of democracy in the country. And I will put it in context. Over the weekend, I was in discussions with three, I would say, political scholars. They are scholars, in my judgment, PhDs and bachelors, of political science. And I put the question to them, were we ready for independence? And I think we all agreed that we were ready for independence. Then I asked them, I said, do you think we were ready for democracy? And this is where we begin to fall apart. And I say this because I look back to the period of George Price, who we all revered. And we had no doubt he was extremely popular and well loved. But we were never taught what democracy was to be about in the people participating behind the ballot. Because these were men who we trusted, the George Price and the Golson and that generation, we trusted them. We knew that they were sincere, and that is how dictators are in real dictatorship. So when you have a democracy for Belize, which came out of some, I would say, some brilliant, honest, courageous leaders from both sides, the people trusted them. As time went by, we began to find that different leaders were emerging who could not have win the support of the people as the previous did. So what is happening to us today? The opposition has become dysfunctional, Mr. Park. And here we are indeed, really lamenting and mourning the absence of them. And in fact, to say that they are abdicated their responsibility in the Constitution may be true. But I ask myself, what about looking for the solution and look in the mirror? I ask myself, are not we too to be blamed? Why we became so reliant on an opposition? Because we felt that they were to do everything for us.
But Joe, let's be real here. Hold on, I'm unmuted, right? Let's be real. And it is the system of government where the opposition holds the government in check and stand there as an alternative in the event that we need to remove them and go somewhere else. But to say that what we give too much responsibility to the opposition, I don't think that's fair. I've been the one to say we need ad hoc committees. We need people involvement. I agree with that. But the system of government that we have in place, where we pay them to be oppositions also, opposition members, we need an opposition. We deserve one.
Mr. Chairman, I would disagree with you, and I would say this, that I wish I was maybe the guest rather than the host so that I could have the time to explain to you. And I want to just quickly put this in. Where I disagree is that when I listen to the survey that was done by the Commission for the review of the Constitution, and if I remember well, they said it was about 90% of the people who didn't know the Constitution.
99 maybe.
All right, so let's say it's 90. If you do not know the Constitution, it's because we did rely on the opposition to do the work. But if you look at the Constitution gives the citizens also the right to hold the government accountable. We have within the laws to hold government accountable. No democracy in the world you will ever have one system where the citizens can hold other than through the ballots. So we get used to listen. We will vote, we go to the polls, we vote. And then if we have to tolerate you, we are tolerate you to the next election and then remove you. But then no constitution would have been designed that way. And I'm speaking from an authoritative position because I'm very familiar with the internal controls of our constitution. And I'm saying this again, not to be boasting, but I was involved in the setting up of many of the internal controls. We have over hundreds of them. And again, it's right before us. When the Auditor General keeps saying over and over and over that they cannot audit the public accounts, that's a very serious charge against the government. But for us, it is not serious. No other democratic society today would allow the public accounts to go and audit it.
But
So
Joe, see, this is where I get in trouble too, because I get kind of impatient when we're dealing with issues and we stray so far from the core of the
right,
matter. We're talking about the opposition and the role it plays in the democracy under which we live. And that is a vital part of the system that we have set up in place. We have set in place a system that's a democratic system that has a government and an opposition. And we elect them, and we hope that we have enough on the opposition side to hold them in check, at least. But and the Constitution does provide for, if there's no opposition person elected, then the Governor General will elect a person to be the opposition, because there has to be an opposition. But the opposition needs to be viable also, man. And that's what I'm saying. And you're
I just
Let me add something to that. You know, I think one of the big problem we have is that we have failed to educate our people, and this has been the fault of both governments and our educational system, and the fact that it has not been an independent system to some degree from the government control.
It is not
We
to their
need
benefit.
exactly, we need civic education. Citizens of this country, young people need to know what their responsibilities are. They are not taught the Constitution. They're not taught how we are governed. They're not taught their responsibility as citizens and civic responsibility as citizens. And so that create a problem throughout the structure and very being of our society. I want to just address one more thing that Mr. Cowie said. And I believe that while we can admire the effort of George Cale Price, Philip Golson, and all those people that came before us and did what they did to set us on the road so far, I believe that for some reason the fundamental development of Belize was not democratic. It was not, while it was based on democratic principles, it never was democratic. The ruling governing party at that time did everything to suppress the true democracy and the opposition, and we have maintained that very structure even today. Even when there was one member of the House, everything was done to suppress that voice of that one member. When we had 18 or seats, 17-1, everything was done to suppress that very one single member of the House of Representatives. And so when I see that, and when I know much about what was going on then, I realized that democracy and the exercise of democracy was never the true intent of the leadership that was in place at that time.
I think, Mr. Morrison, you have said a tremendous amount of facts and truth. And I would like to really come back to the point indeed that we're not straying away from an unfunctional opposition. The point I want to make is that now that they have become dysfunctional, the government can collapse in the sense of functional government. A government in office doesn't mean it's a functional government, but it's there by virtue of the law. So you put your finger on it. I agree that they were very hardworking, courageous, honest people. But in the same vein, they didn't see it necessary to have to educate the people into it. because they wanted to perpetrate themselves. So, with all my reverence for Mr. Price, and I do hold a great reverence for him, I sensed at the time, indeed, that it was not in their, I wouldn't say it was not in their interest, but because I wouldn't say it's a sinister motive. I thought at the time that they felt that they must be seen as the maximum leader and that they will do the best for us. So, coming back to the issue now of the opposition not being a viable opposition, if we had in fact been applying the Constitution where the citizens participate more, and the citizens' lack of participation is not because anybody inhibit them or prohibit them. It's simple they were not taught to.
Exactly.
When you mention the point educating, I think that's a very salient point. We were never being educated in that aspect of our governance.
Again, now though we're pinpointing the education system. We need to understand the two types of education, the formal and the informal one. There's a time when we were growing up when we had dinner around the table. Even in Belize, we had that system where you would have that conversation, and this is where some of the information is passed on. The relative matters are discussed. Nowadays, the picnic run in, grab a sandwich, and run back out to play. Go to the computer, go wherever you're going. I think that part of it, and we need to put our finger on where the blame is. And you're right, Joe, when you say look in the mirror, but because all of us are at fault, and we don't really got the right for the point and to blame anybody for what is going on here. We are all a part of what has happened. I don't know if that's just plain laziness that we just don't want to get involved. Nobody cares. It's a dismal thing. Go ahead.
I would say that, Mr. Chairman, and I would wish we would have maybe more forums like this one. Maybe we need more. When I spoke with these two scholars, well, three of them, I must say, and I asked them, well, what should we do? When I mentioned to him about our democracy is in threat, how do we fix it? One replied to me, said, Joe, you can fix it, and I can fix it. He said, but you know what we can do? We can try to make sure we educate the people the best we can, in the hope that it can begin to spread. Out of a show like this can come many more shows.
Yeah.
So it can grow to the point where an institution can be developed. We don't have to be through the formal system because we can even engage the formal system, engage the UB. Maybe some of us on this very show should try to, we might maybe think about inviting the president of UB and have a topic like this being discussed. How much are you all sensitizing the students to the importance of how we ought to be governed?
Do this. Go ahead.
And to be able to evaluate how we are being governed. Because that's a major problem.
Do they still?
How we are to be governed. You cannot even evaluate how we are being governed.
Do they still teach civics in school?
I understand they do. And then I asked what kind of civics.
Because we had civics growing up.
Yeah.
Well, if they do and they don't teach the Constitution, and our literacy rate is 90% on the Constitution, then I don't know what type of civics we're teaching, because at least the basic principles of your rights, you probably can't get through that whole Constitution, but at least some of the basic rights and stuff should be known to the people, some of their responsibility, because with citizenship comes responsibility, with voting comes responsibility. With democracy comes tremendous responsibility.
Do the people know that? Do we know that really? Because that's the question. I mean, many don't think so. Many, in particular, a lot of these young boys on the street believe that the government exists to provide for them what they want. Whether it's in a little handout or something, or to give them a job when they don't have to do nothing but just collect money every week. And I don't know that they fully understand the need. And what they need to look at is like the draft. like say America and implement a draft that the people have to go and serve in the army if they are at war. So if for something like we've never had that kind of situation where we were brought face to face with the fact of citizen involvement and the need for them to do something to keep
We
their country intact.
we talked about this some time ago, I think a couple of years ago or a year ago, where we talked about a Belize Corps or in the past when we had scouting and Girl Guides and different type of youth involvement organization that in fact imparted some of those civics pride and responsibility to citizens. We have lost those. We have lost them in every area of our evolving society. We need to bring them back. We need to find ways of engaging the young people. And that is the path that you're talking. Since the family is not structured as it was in the past, where you have a mom and a dad and the time period where everybody would sit and gather, we need to make sure that these organizations that was once the backbone of our society somehow are returned to some level of performance and responsibility. The church had a responsibility in it, and they organized many of those in the past. But you look at the parade. In the past, you'd see the scouting participating. You'd see all these different scouting groups from the different denomination. And since we're a church-based school society, I didn't see that in the procession anymore. I see, sometimes they might have a group of kids. Not even all the teachers wants to participate in the parade and things like as was seem to have been mandatory in time past. So somehow a lot of things have gotten away from us that is structurally and necessary to maintain a cohesive and a properly grounded and welded society.
True. I do remember as a child I was in Girl Guides, and part of that civic duty, we were, we would do a little cleanup in the town, and we would go camping, and they would teach us basic skills. So a lot of the basic, even survival skills came
Mhm.
from participating in organizations such as Girl Guide. I do know that there is still scouting system in Belize. I'm very familiar with the Jaguar Scouts in the Santa Elena San Ignacio region in Cayo, in the Cayo district. I don't know to what extent they're serving the community, but at least I do know that scouting is still prominent in the San Ignacio Santa Elena area. I would love to see more of it,
It's the
because
participation level, not that it doesn't
right,
exist, is what I'm thinking. I think it still
right.
exists to some degree, but the participation has fallen off.
Right, and the participation comes from, from going to school. I learned about Girls Guide because they came to the school to introduce themselves. I'm not sure how many of my generation of parents are out there who participated and who have instilled that knowledge to their children. So it's also a generational thing where some parents don't want their children to participate in certain activities, but yet there's certain things that are that they're lacking instruction from home. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that we can keep adding on to why we don't have civic pride. But
Mhm.
one thing's for sure, that part of that civic pride comes from the educational system, and if we don't implement it now, and find educators that will truly take the time to give the correct instruction in the understanding of civic and government, we will not move forward in leadership skills. And that's what's failing us today. We don't have enough leadership skills to lead. And without good leadership, how do we move forward? We will keep repeating and getting the same over and over.
Yeah.
All right.
What? I was gonna just say one more thing. You know, I was listening on the radio and not the radio, television, and they were talking about 31 young people have died. I gather these are young men on motorcycles just recently. I remember when we were growing up and you're in scouting, they teach you and tell you how you should ride and how you should behave on the road, and even walking, how you should walk and when you should go and all that. That's what these organization does. That's what they do to teach us our role as citizens and responsibility. And I'm sure if if we were driving cars, that they'll tell us to obey the speed limit and things like that. There's nothing to hold people to even give them that basic knowledge. I remember I was listening to one guy the other day, and he was talking. He was saying, "Oh, I was driving down the road, the highway in Belize, and this guy turned on his high beam. I kind of blinked at him with my high beam to tell him to turn his high beam off, but he didn't. So I turned on my high beam, and then he got beam." You know, the ignorance of that, because he's saying what he's saying, he wouldn't the other guy wouldn't turn off his beam for whatever reason. I don't know why. So he turned on an even more powerful high beam. That create a hazard for both of them on the road and anyone else is on the road. But that kind of stupid kind of ignorance that is being perpetrated through lack of knowledge and stuff is creating the hazard on the road, and it's creating the hazard within our government and within the entire structure of our society.
Oh, well, when you talk about, boy, that's a long one because, yeah, I don't know if some of those things you can teach. Some of it I would think you're born with some of the common sense that you need for things like that. So, well, let's move on. Let's move on with the leader that was the prime minister gave a State of the Union address, and the leader of the opposition responded. I would say that there was no surprise, and when I say no surprise, the leader, the prime minister, found everything good to say about what is happening in Belize, and the leader of opposition found everything bad that he could say about what is where if you're somebody outside and don't know where to go on, you're left totally confused as to which one are really true. Somebody has to be lying. Who did lie, Joe?
I happened to listen to the Prime Minister State of the Nation address. And I think what he said were factual in the sense that the macroeconomics which they use for these kind of events, where he laid the GDP, the inflation, unemployment, deficits, etc. And those were all factual. They were in fact data, not factual data. And the question I would have asked, because I'm glad you raised this, because it was what I was going to refer to. Let's come back to the non-functional opposition. I never did get the chance to hear the leader of the opposition response. But I would like to hear those who hear, because when you're trying to evaluate the State of our Nation address, wherever it is being given, the government of the day, the incumbent, will emphasize statistical facts. But they have a thing where they call statisticating. So if I tell you, boy, the GDP increased by 3%, 4%, of course the GDP did increase. That's a fact, and we cannot dispute it. But if I ask you then, how did that increase? How well did you share?
Yeah.
That's a different issue.
Yeah.
So then you tend to grandstand on the macroeconomics figures, because that is the one that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about the unemployment. You say, well, it's pretty low at 3%. But the truth about it, in a sense, that might be sound good on the face of it, but it might not necessarily be good, because unemployment doesn't mean that you have nobody unemployed. Otherwise, an economy will not be able to grow. You have to have a certain slack in the economy. And I think they could be facing a shortage of labor. Just giving you the perspective. He gave the part about the inflation and how prices has gone down. Prices in some areas may have gone down.
In what area? What area? Because that's the one that got me.
Well,
Prices have gone down where?
Well, it
flour
hasn't.
gone up,
I don't know if it
sugar.
gone down. I think it haven't accelerated as fast as it was going, and sometimes that gives the perception
I
that it's
don't
going down.
know. I really don't know.
The point I wanted to make is the statisticating I wanted.
Yes.
If they tell you the inflation rate had gone down, that may be true. But when you're looking at the basket, some would have gone up and some would come down. But and you average it out, it went
Give
down.
me one that has gone down, Joe. One item that you know. Gas has gone down, flour has gone down, sugar has gone down, bread, the basic bread just gone up the other day. Water, Joe, has gone up.
Now, what I'm saying to you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you said some. No. What
He
you're
said it,
saying
no,
to
he's saying
me,
in the aggregate, the
now,
things
man,
have gone down.
in every report for inflation, you will always find some things that went down, but they are small, they are not large in numbers.
like
That's
what?
why
Just give me one. Give me one. If you find some, you can find at least one, Joe.
you find a certain time when
Maybe
the
zinc went down, or construction went down.
None of that. That has gone up higher than anything else. I'm telling you, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. There has been nothing in any store that I've gone that went down. And
Somebody
not
was-
only that, the merchants are price gorging on top of it.
But Mr. Chairman, let's
Someone
accept,
had mentioned.
let's
Someone had
accept that,
mentioned.
no, let's accept that nothing went down. Let's accept nothing went down. I am saying to you that the data, the inflation data is factual. But what I'm trying to say is that when we say these things are so, we have to ask ourselves, and you are finding it out right there. If some things may have gone down, they might not be things that are really benefiting the masses. And these are the people who are feeling the crunch of it. So they will take credit because of the macroeconomic data that is being put out.
The basket.
So when you say about why we have a 3% unemployment, that sounds good. But the people who are working, are they getting a livable wage?
Well, I would not doubt that. I think that the people are working and the call centers are hiring like crazy, and they are not making bad money. The tourism industry is high. People are coming in right, left, and center. They're making money. Taxi drivers are making money. I think that that is correct. But again, Gregory put his finger on that one. All of we have to win. All of us are suffering, and maybe suffering is not the right word. We're affected by the increase in volume of people that are coming in. The future of our children are being affected by that. Are we getting a fair share of this tourism dollar?
Well, let me say this here, Mr. Chairman. When it comes to say that the highest the minimum wage has gone, that's a fact. It will happen in every country.
Yes.
But for us who are hearing it out here and do not understand the meaning of it, I personally happen to know in the tourist industry, because we are in that. And I visited many hotels and I speak to many of the workers. And you'll be shocked to know that you have workers for 15, 20 years and getting $5.50 an hour. So the point I wanted to make, that if you have a good opposition, and that's the contrast I wanted to make, if you had a very functional, not an opposition just throwing a lot of lies out there and attacking, take those same figures, analyze them, and then you can bring out to the nation that yes, it's the highest minimum wage. It have to be. If you increase the minimum wage from $3.50 to $5, every time the minimum wage never go down, they go up. So to say it's the highest you ever had, it's a fucking the highest. But ask yourself, out of that GDP increase, that's 6 billion that you have, or 6 billion. How much did the 60% of the workers get out of it?
Yep.
I'm saying to you, they're not getting livable wages.
Yeah.
People are working. So the point I wanted to make out is this. You have the State of the Nation address. He will give figures that are factual. And he will make it look good in the statistics of it. But when the opposition now is to critique it, that is when they become this functionality is manifesting itself. I didn't hear it, but I picked up little snippets of it. And it seems to me that he himself didn't understand how to critique it.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone of you all hear the leader of the opposition.
No, I didn't. I didn't get to hear
I heard
the
it.
leader
I
of
heard
the
it.
opposition.
I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. Like I said, he was pointing to everything that went bad. That crime was up, and he said 40% more murders this year than last year. Just of course disputed that, and there have been murders for sure. He was pointing to businesses that closed over the period of the year, and yes, indeed, there are businesses that have closed down. So, and this might be what you're saying. He wasn't lying, but how does it relate to the reality on the ground? You saying all of that is to say what? Because certainly we're not as badly off as he would like everybody to believe. It seems
My concern, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Cowie and Miss Lisa, is the fact that we have put on such great burden of debt, new debt, on the country in the last 3 years after cleaning up and working to reduce the national debt by issuing this blue bond, which to some degree have compromised our sovereignty and our future development to some degree. And I'm hoping that we could wash ourselves of some of this later on when the need comes that we need to develop some of those resources that we have made captured territory now. So
America seems to be doing well with humongous debt. They talk about debt.
well, America is different. We can't compare ourselves to any developed country that has a export sort of economy. But because when you have the type of economy we do is import debt, import inflation, and import and have to spend money to cover that we don't have because we're not producing enough. So we'll always run sort of a deficit to a national.
What are the danger? What are the danger in your perspective of of borrowing? Because
Borrowing,
we all borrow. Everybody borrows.
well,
you have to borrow to get out of.
you have to borrow, but it creates a burden on the local economy and the people that are then faced with paying that. And particularly the issue is when you don't use that money. Nothing wrong with borrowing per se, but when the money is not used in a productive sector that sort of builds on the economy and the resources to create more productivity within the society. So when the money is stolen, when the money is mismanaged, when, for example, you borrow money to install drainage pump in the city and the pumps are then turned in the wrong direction so that the city doesn't get the development, the roads are blocked, the streets are destroyed, your cars are being destroyed, your home and property is being destroyed. When you borrow this money to have made a benefit to your country, instead of getting a benefit, you now have, if you had left it as it was, you'd have been better off than to have made this loan. So those are the type of negative effect that you have when you make these loans, because now you have a bill that you have to pay and you did not derive the benefit that intended expenditure was supposed to have addressed.
I'd like for somebody to explain those pumps to me though, because the pump pumps the water from where? Out of the canal? They're not like we know.
No, from off the street. It's supposed to pump from the canal
and to where? And to go where?
It's supposed to pump it to the sea.
Into the sea. And
Yes.
you know that water seeks its own level and comes right back around?
Yeah, but there's supposed
somewhere
to be
up the Haloba
blockage.
Creek.
Well, that's true. But sometimes if it goes to a farther area where there's less development and create less displacement in that area, then you get a temporary or reprieve from flooding and destruction that would normally happen. So that's the idea. It's not that you're going to get rid of that water forever or somewhere. It's going to find itself back somewhere into the land area.
Yeah, but the image of the city, Green City in particular, given the level, we are not below sea level as something where
we're like 6 inches or so above sea level, I think.
So what happens with Green City is that we had pumps years ago, from when I was a young boy, we had a pump there at that time. We had the canal and Douglas Jones Street. The canals at the city was to drain the city. That was the purpose of the canals, not for waste disposal. They were to drain the city.
Yes.
So when they closed the canal and Douglas Jones Street to have a wider street, what they did, they built some cement drains, and then they put a pump almost at the end. And when it rains heavily, that whole area would have flooded around Cinderella Plaza. And the water will pump it to the river. Because evidently the river is somewhat above the sea, otherwise you won't be able to. The river will never be able to flow to a sea. It has to be a bit. The rivers will be a bit below the sea, and it flows to the sea. So when you are draining the city, you're either drain to the river, depending on where you're draining from. You're drain to the canals firstly. You try to get it from the canal to the river, and then from the river it goes to the sea. In some cases, like on north side, some of them we can drain direct to the sea.
Is that pump still working? That you're talking about?
There was no longer any need for it.
Why?
Well, what happened? That whole area was lifted, and they had proper drainage. So now, even in this recent, but what we have right now is a very high tide.
Yeah.
Well, there was super moon, and they've done some explanation about that. And I don't see, I don't share the alarm. Excuse me, I don't share the alarm with that, because growing up as a child, I remember we used to have these often. More often.
But we have reached a level where we need to, and we have become a more sophisticated society. We have made a lot of investment in real property. And so we need to protect the interests that people have made. And so there is reason to be alarmed when we are getting all these debts and we are getting all these money. And we need to now make.
Well, my alarm has nothing to do with debt, though. No.
No. But I'm saying we need to be alarmed that that the stuff is not functioning as it should. That we're still having water. There are countries that are completely underwater in Amsterdam and many other places, and they have the technology and they have the ways of making sure their cities don't get flooded. And there is technology to address it. We don't have all the resources to do it, but when we do it, we mess it up. We waste the money that was supposed to do something even marginally. We misspent the money.
Mr. Morrison, can I correct or maybe clarify something?
Yes.
The highest tide is in October. I don't remember the exact date this year, but they have a day in October. I used to remember it because that's what we were doing in Placentia. That is when you get your highest tide.
Yes, sir.
What the meteorologists are saying, that this tide that we are having evidently is phenomenal. That's what they call it. It's above what we were having, and they believe it's a clear evidence of climate change.
Yes.
I have never seen the tide so high in this city. When I went there the morning, which I go to the park detail, I have never seen detail under such water.
Mr. Cowie, I'm not disputing the tide or the climate change. I'm disputing my concern is the fact that we make an investment in pumps that does not work because of failure to properly design and implement the pumps.
Where did you get that? Let's do some fact checking. Where did you get that information that the pumps were returned back way? I didn't get that.
I read it in something. I don't know how.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I'm telling you, I read it in. No, I read it in something official. I read it in something official.
No.
The pumps were returned back way.
Yeah, something
I don't
with
know
how
if
the
it
pumps
was.
were wired.
That's impossible.
Well, that's what I would think. That's what I would think. Well, even
I
if
see those pumps. I see them and I watch them work and I know about them.
Yeah.
I about those pumps. Pumps are used all over the world.
That's what I would think. That's what I would think.
What they had the plan, what maybe we should have invested some money in, is that there is those walls, those brick walls we have in the city.
That too.
That is where we should have put some money into. And some we had started to do with the World Bank funding. But when you come down into that Yarborough area, after you leave where the governor house is around there, you don't have any more walls. So Seashore, for sure, have the walls going up to Bliss Institute, have walls coming right down. Coming right down into BTL, almost a BTL park. We should have been building more of those walls to keep out those water in this time. But to me, the pumps are well needed. I thought they were a good idea to pump the water out.
Mr. Cole, I have a quick question. By any chance, during your tenureship in government, was there at any time a geology study on Belize and how it and how these things would affect it geologically?
We have geologists here. We have Belizean trained. They are in the Ministry of Natural Resources. We do
I,
have
I
geologists.
didn't hear you.
I take
I
it
think
as a yes.
we do have all our geologists, as far as I know, will be in the public sector.
But have they done a study about Belize and what the
Yes,
climate will do?
that the study was done. The World Bank had funded the study for Belize City, what they call the Belize City Infrastructure Project and
Okay.
institutional strengthening. It was during my time when I was mayor. We did the institutional strengthening and the infrastructure. So the World Bank, they funded us with 3 million. That was for institutional strengthening. That was a grant. And then the rest were very soft loans. And that is how we started to build those drains in the city, and we begin to build streets with better coverages.
Mhm.
If you look in Belize City, I can tell you right now from my memory where all the major drains outlets that was to drain the city.
Mhm.
If you begin from Marian Jones, if you begin from St. John's College, we had to clear out that area. Then we did one at Marian Jones. And you come right around. If you come right around the city, you will see. Then we're up by and the Northern Road, we drained there. And all of that was done because they had to do aerial surveys of the city. They had to do it from the air. And we had to determine the level of the city. Some areas you drain to the river because of the level. Some areas you could have drained to the canals and drained to the river. Some areas you drain to the sea. But they had to know it from the level. So when we did the Belize City Infrastructure Project, that was a major project. That was
It
we had to
was.
dig a lot of the drains in the city.
But
Mhm.
was climate change ever considered? We're just now in
Well, at
Belize
that time, the
coming
thing about it, climate change was maybe still being studied.
because I tell you, I would have been classified a denier up to a year or so ago. But this heat that we're feeling right now
Exactly.
is
Exactly.
hotter than it has ever been in my lifetime or that I can remember. It's a punishing heat, and I think that if it's gonna get worse than this, boy, I don't know any pump gonna help we at all. This is that
This is Yeah, I agree with you too, G Mike. Sorry
Well,
to
it
cut
is.
you
It
off.
is. If you had listened to the forecast for hurricanes and you listen to the change in the temperature in the Caribbean Sea,
Mhm.
I think it had gone up by
3,
3%.
3%.
So I can tell you from my personal experience, I go to Placentia quite often, well,
Really
so
good.
my second home, and I have never felt the sea so warm.
Yeah.
Never before.
Yeah.
And when I say warm, I don't mean at the midday when it's very hot. So when they said it was not only 3 degrees it had gone up by in the Caribbean, but it was even deeper. So the heat was down deeper. And this is
Mhm.
what is fueling these hurricanes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that to anybody who can do it tonight, I
but
would
how
come and say he never find one personal
Well,
experience.
I mean, there are many things going on right now. The sun is in its 11-year cycle where it's producing its more heat, and so there are lots of things going on in terms of climate change and stuff. And while I believe that naturally the planet has been much hotter than it is now, I do believe that human does contribute towards it, and that we need to, as society and individuals, do whatever we can to reduce it. But I don't go crazy on it. I think we just need to be conscious of it, and we need to do what we need to do.
to
But we
what,
still need to
Gregory?
do. Uh,
Do you know
well,
the experts have suggested that whatever we do is not going to be enough because we've gone too far? Have you
well,
heard those reports,
I've
or
heard
do you
that.
not believe them?
I've heard that we have reached a tipping point where it will take a lot to bring it back. But still, whatever it is we can do, we can deal with emission, CO2 gases. We can deal with the best thing we could do is make our buildings and our infrastructure more climate resilient. That's where we have the control over it most right now. So those are the
I
things we need to do.
I admire your optimism. I wish I could share more of that. But as long as you have greedy people in this world, and you have them, and they are making money off of what is happening here, I don't see any reversal there. It's going to take a wholesale, everybody coming together and agreeing and deciding, you know what, we're going to do this, and we're going to do what we can. I'm not, I don't share that optimism, and I'm proud of you. I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
I
I
don't know what
just
to
I
say.
I just have one concern though, considering the high tides that is affecting Belize seashores
He's getting
now.
his climate
Um,
book.
right.
We're in
But
trouble now. No, we're in trouble.
but what I am concerned about, Belize being situated in well, while we know that Belize hasn't had its own epicenter of earthquakes, and we do know that earthquakes can carry underwater,
Mm.
um, is Belize prepared for an underwater earthquake and tsunami, with we having already problems with tide?
I
I
wouldn't
mean, if
worry
you
about
look at
that.
the bigger picture,
I wouldn't worry about that. We've never had a tsunami here, and I don't think we'll have one. We have a barrier reef that helps us a lot with that. And I was going to ask Gregory about this, because with all of that taken into consideration, how come we have not seen an increase in the number of hurricanes? We've not. It's not like we've been getting.
Well, a hurricane depends on a lot of things, and it depends on the warming of the water. It depends on the cold front that's coming.
But
There's
all that
lots of
has
things.
happened. All that
Yeah,
has been
yeah.
happening.
I mean, hurricanes go through patterns through the year, through the cycle of things. If the water is totally warm everywhere, it doesn't. It's when the cold and the warm meets that we really have that issue. So if it's totally warm everywhere, you're not going to get as much hurricane. You could get torrential rain and other storms, but not so much hurricanes, I believe.
But
Uh,
I think the forecast came to pass, and we had two hurricanes. One could have been threatening to us, but what they are showing you,
Hmm.
never before had hurricanes developed in such a short time and with
Yeah,
such power and speed,
yeah, yeah.
and that is because of the climate problem. But
Mhm.
I just wanted to. I think the chairman said something which we should take note of. There is this lady by the name of Noemi Klein. He happens to be in my library behind me. And she's an award winning journalist. And she wrote this book, well distinguished. He said, "This changes everything, capitalism against the climate." Her research, very distinguished journalist, she won awards. It is proving it is capitalism that is causing this climate change. And it is
Mhm.
greed.
yeah, it is green. It's
Yeah.
green.
And
But
she
but
has documented it in this book.
I want to introduce something here that's gonna send shivers up the neck of Gregory Morrison. How about our attitude and our behavior? Is there some kind of connection there between the way people are being, as far as negativity? Is there something from the spiritual realm that might be an
Uh, so you're telling me that we could channel energy and get different type of physical action. I,
I,
I
I, I think so. I think it's not so far fetched, is it?
well, maybe not. They do say that all forces and everything that exists in the world is on vibration and energy waves. So there
It
there
makes
there
sense.
so there might be something to it, but I don't know if we have learned yet how to harness that. Otherwise, I think we'd hold the sea back. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, Mr. Chairman. But
Well,
but
if you elect Kamala, you might not have to worry about that. You'll have to deal with nuclear energy after this, because
I
the
think, yeah. I don't
she's a
think she
part of a
she
warmongering.
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't
uh,
know. I don't hold that to be true. I do I do have do share the same concern of the Biden administration and their role in what's going on in both Ukraine and in Israel
Palestine.
and Palestine. But I think a lot of it is out of their hands to some degree. I
It
don't
is
know.
in their hands.
No, 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 no,
They're
no,
funding
no.
the wars to
Yeah, but
billions
then
and billions of dollars,
yeah,
Gregory.
but then it means those people, if they weren't, I'm not in favor of the war, any of them, but it means that those people would be subjugated to the power and the whims of those supreme countries that wish to devour them. The
Whoa,
people of
whoa, whoa!
Palestine
Isn't
would
that
be the
it's
people of
happening? Palestine isn't that what is happening in Palestine though? In Ukraine now, you can say, well, Russia is trying to dominate them. But again, when we look at the cause of that war, you can see they're total, and people like to equate those two wars, but there's nothing equal about them.
I
They,
agree. I agree.
they, they,
One is
they,
a war. One is some type of a asymmetrical fight, but one is just a massacre.
genocide. One is genocide, yeah.
Yes.
The other one, at least you have two armies fighting each other, no?
Yeah.
I I had a lot of respect for Biden. I gave a lot of credit to him. But what tended to diminish that credit I had for him
Yeah.
was when he gave that unconditional support to Israel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was very inhumane of him.
Yeah.
Now, the credit to Kamala, and maybe it's because he happened to be a lady who seems to be more empathetic and more concerned about humans. Sorry to say. But I like her position she took. Because she, in a sense, is admitting that Israel should never have been allowed to do what it did.
Mhm.
So she spoke strongly against it. But she also said the solution must be a two-state policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that that is, to me, the way to go.
I
I
wonder
don't
how her husband feels about this.
Well, this is one case where the women are taking over, as you know. She doesn't, so the husband will be, what you call a first man, no?
The first man. That's a new one, right? For new one.
Now,
You have to grow into that role.
coming back to I know we have a shift in terms of moving from local to national, and that's good. Because when we look at the elections, the campaign right now in the United States, I find it sometimes extremely difficult to understand how these things that Trump is saying and still having that support. But when you break it down, when you break down the demographics of it, sometimes it shows you clearly. I don't want to get into any suggestion of racism. But when you look at the people who support one side and those who support the other, and it's a very tight race, no doubt, it makes you wonder indeed whether America is really the country sometimes we thought it is.
If said again,
America is that, and it's many things. And
I am saying that I strongly believe, and I hold to it. I still believe that the hope for democracy, the beacon of democracy, may still lie in the great United States. But I will also say this, that side of America I never saw until when Trump came into politics.
well, maybe that's what he did, expose it, but that's not like it wasn't there.
That's
You
right.
know, that's where he gets in trouble because he tends to be
expose it.
vocal and upfront.
He exploited it. He was able. He knew exactly how to play on the affairs.
Yes.
No.
He exploited it, and that caused the exposure.
Somebody.
I saw something there, Mr. Morrison and Mr. Chan. Here you are. I asked myself, and I'm going now into pigmentation. Trump is getting support more than what he had before from among the blacks.
Mhm.
Now, I asked Anna Bedizian, who lives in America, he's a political scientist.
Mhm.
I said, what is happening when you look in Georgia and so where his percentage was 12%
Yeah.
in 2020, and now he's above 12%.
Yeah.
You know what he said to me? And please, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think it's all the reason. He said, well, you have to remember the Stockholm syndrome. So I know of the Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
said it is the Stockholm syndrome affecting somebody, and he lives in St. Louis. Son.
Yeah. That's a weak and unforgiving statement from someone that's supposed to be learned. I think there are lots of issues. You know, I have some support and have some belief in what Trump says. I don't support him for many reasons in totality, but there are many points that he makes that are crucial and essential and are nationalistic and are what any country needs to consider in terms of its national policy and protecting of its people. He talks about a strong border. And with any country that doesn't have a proper and guarded and respected border is open to anything. He talks about getting those European countries to be more responsible for their own defense. That is critical and important. He talks about some areas of taxes and such, and that appeals to a lot of people. Although it shouldn't as much because, but in the American dream, in the American aspiration, everybody believes because of the way our system is structured through this extreme capitalism that one day they could find themselves to be a multimillionaire and be the dredge of the taxes that it burdens so many people. And so a lot of people, without really realizing it or thinking, are in those type of things. That's why you could have people such as the Koch brothers and them organize very poor people, the poorest of people. They get them out there to go and lobby for petition and get other people to sign petition. They give them a little bit of money, and these people are voting, are canvassing against their own best interest because of that immediate cash they're getting, but also the fact that they're believing that, hey, I could become that next millionaire without doing anything. Maybe just from the winning the lottery or whatever. I don't know where it comes from, but that has become a burden to American society.
Sorry, could you repeat some of those? I mean, you mentioned the border.
Yes.
No, I could not agree with you. I mean, you live there, I agree, but we all understand what is happening at the border.
You don't think a country has a responsibility to protect its border and stop people from just coming in?
But not like it's not like they're in danger of being invaded though.
That's right.
No. I'm not talking about invading.
Yeah, but just from the immigrants. America was built by immigrants. America right now.
That's different. But that's different.
It's
That's
the
different.
immigrants that's doing all the work in America.
Harrison, we spoke just now about the Israeli-Palestinian issue. Let's go back now to those immigrants. You know why those people are leaving their countries? Why?
I understand. No, I understand all that dynamics.
Countries because the same great United States under that Monroe Doctrine and under that capitalistic behavior was ripping off those countries and encouraging dictators to exploit those people. Now, those people are looking for greener pastures.
Yes.
Now, America was built on immigrants. And why? The immigrants that came from Europe were being persecuted. They were running away. So to me, Trump.
I didn't say there wasn't a cause.
Trump. Look at Trump. When Trump was building those apartments, he deliberately refused to have blacks renting them. And they took him to court and he lost the case. Indeed, he had to pay money for it. Trump is nothing to play with, my brother. No, that's immigration. If you left to him, he'll find all of them and deport them. But he has no conscience.
But here's the problem, though. Just like we face in Belize, the opposition is no play either. Trump might be nothing to play with, but that next crowd there, no nice neither. And that's what I'm saying. And my concern is not so much one or the other, because usually if you say anything critical of Kamala, oh, you're a Trump, no, you love Trump. That's not the case. The case is that the choice that you have, the two choices, both of them are dangerous, and I don't know if both of them are that different from each other. They might be part and parcel to the same. Back at the
isn't that the same we say about UDP and PUP? They're the same.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Martin, sorry to interrupt, but can I bring you back because I disagree on that one? But there was one that you said which I agree with you on. So again, here we are now. If you name me three things that you felt you credit Trump for, I might disagree with one or maybe two.
Mhm.
But you
Well,
mentioned one of them, which I agree with him on.
I mentioned the three things was the immigration policy, and I didn't say I totally agree with everything. I said a country has a responsibility to protect its borders.
Which
I
is
did not say
correct,
that
and
the
it's true.
manner in which he did it was the most appropriate way of doing
No,
it.
it was the
But I
most
was saying, but
humane
I
and
was saying,
honest way.
I agreed with that policy. Then I
Okay.
agreed with the fact that we have Europe depending so much on the United States for its defense, and I know why it is, because we want to be dominant and we want to be able to dictate to them, and
I want
so
the
we
oil.
we end up we end up paying a significant amount of NATO's operating budget. So that's what I said. I agreed
And
that
the
we should
nationalism.
get we should get
Nationalism.
them we should get those countries to pay a greater portion of NATO's costs
Well,
and
why I agree with you with it? It's not to pay a greater portion. It's to pay the portion they agreed to pay.
well,
Mm-hmm.
There are no
that's what I'm talking about. That's what
Yeah,
I'm talking about.
it
That's
was
what I
not to
meant.
pay anything more. It was to pay what they agreed to pay.
That's what
What
I
this
meant. A,
was,
a
he was like,
percentage of their national budget. I think it was 3% or
yeah,
something
it's a
like that.
percentage of the national budget. No, I agree with you with Trump. Then the third one was what? I think it's good to go through them.
What
The
was the
third one
third
was
one?
what?
Nationalism. He's nationalistic, and he wants America to love America.
Yeah, yeah. That doesn't have much of a cost, but to kind of protect the rights and sovereignty of American and such. That I think. But there was something else I had said, and I can't
But
remember
the
what
one
it
on
is.
nationalism, I disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why. You have a thing what they call supranationalism, which is what Hitler had people supporting him so much for. So when I look at his idea of nationalism, I see him similar to that of Hitler. Nationalism is good to have, but when you have that supranationalism where you begin to see yourself above others, you've gone too far. That to me leads to dictatorship. But the third one was what? There was another
Taxes
one.
was get countries to pay get lower taxes and stuff and produce get the economy going. That was the third thing that I said.
Professor Morrison, that third one, that one I disagree with you. What he was doing, he adopted something from Reagan, we call the trickle down economics, which failed. The
I
trickle
don't
down
think
economics,
what he had approached was trickle down. I knew trickle
no,
down
no,
economy.
no. What he did was this. He didn't call it trickle down economics. Trump was looking after the very wealthy. He did that.
I
So
don't know. He did at times say he was going to tax the rich.
that's what. That's no. He didn't do that. That's what I'm saying. But he gave his reason
You
for.
know.
But I know I
Yeah.
can
Go ahead.
guarantee
Go ahead.
you
Go ahead. Go
what
ahead.
he did. I'm talking from the facts. I'm not talking from the research. What he did, he had no. He's saying that if he reduced the taxes on the rich, then instead of the government taking it and investing it, it's an economic theory which he believes in. And not he alone, many other people believe in it. I don't believe in it. He believes that if you reduce the taxes on the rich then in return will invest. And when they invest, they will create more jobs and the economy will grow.
That wasn't the point I was making, Mr. Coy. The point I
But
was
you said
making
that,
was the return.
but you
There
said
was
that it reduced.
trillions of dollars. There were trillions of dollars invested that American company had held overseas, and through the tax policies that he had introduced, those money was supposed to come into the United States. It started coming, but the, then the election changed, and so the policies didn't get continued. But he had set in motion so that American corporation, it's better to get a fraction of it than to have those trillions of dollars sitting out there, and they won't return. They will not come if they are taxed to the rate that
Well, let
people.
me say this. I agree with him with that. And nobody was opposing what he did because America pay and they pay and the
Yeah, earnings.
global income,
Yeah,
right? They don't pay taxes on domestic like us. They pay on the international income.
yeah,
But they didn't pay on it until when they bring it home.
yes,
So what he did was a good idea. He
yes,
said, you bring back the investment to America, we will waive the tax.
yeah,
That's what he did.
or
And I
change
thought
the
that was
rate.
a good idea. That part of it I support. But you know what he did? And he was corrected on it more than once, and he keeps saying it. He said that he will increase the import duties on goods coming from China.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was shocked at Trump saying that, and the Chinese.
That's the nationalistic part I was talking about.
Yeah, but that was not being nationalistic. He was being somewhat, I don't want to say stupid. I don't want to talk
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. No, I
When
understand.
you increase import duties,
Yeah,
the exporter is not going to pay.
yeah. It's the
It was the
people that buy.
American people who were going to pay it, and he made a mistake. They corrected him, and he still insists no.
Well,
But
the-
but he was
the issue
trying to
with
get
that-
local products.
exactly. The choice then becomes whether
Because they
local
could be
product is
made, the
competitive.
things could be made in the
He
US.
was
That's
saying
correct.
that if he put on, yes, that is
Correct.
what he should have done.
Yeah.
If you put on, it's a protective tax, a barrier tax, they call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
In other words, if I tax them,
Mhm.
then the people will prepare to buy the local. Unfortunately, the Americans never had a counterpart,
Yeah, we didn't have a productive.
so therefore
We,
it
we had
worked.
shipped everything overseas, all our productive.
But you know, and I'm impressed, Gregory, that I hear you with this. You're trying to, because most people aren't. Everybody's either dead set against him or in favor of him. Which nobody wants to say. Well, let us look at some of the policies, see if there's anything good in there at all. Most people are like, "Oh, he's the devil incarnate," you know. God. And my big question has been, what happened the first 4 years that Trump was in office? Did the sky really fall? And
No.
you're telling us that it's going to fall this time again if he ever gets in there. That's it. The thing's done. I don't know. I think if he not get in there,
I wanted to address one more thing that you guys had mentioned about just about the color part of it, the black, the support I believe he's getting among black. And I've spoken to a number of Black Americans, and many of them shares a concern that when they have this type of open border immigration, it affects the wages of Black people more than it affects most other people. And so they are very concerned. The unions don't support them as much because there are very few unions that are catered towards Black people. And even when they were originally organized, it was always to protect white interests. But and so the Black people in many parts of the countries, when the labor shortage becomes an issue, it is their demand for employment that increases. It is their wages first that gets increased, because the constant immigration of low Central American and Eastern European people that comes, they fill that gap and displaces the Black American community.
So are they taking black jobs, really?
Yes, they are.
And it's a fact. But you know why that happens, Mr. Morrison? America has about 14% of its population Black.
Mm-hmm.
It has about 15% of its population Latino and 4% Asiatic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate. And in a way, I would say that it's one of the things that I think why Hillary lost. I think they neglected some of the blacks, especially in the Midwest, especially in Michigan and those areas, which they are predominantly white there.
Mm-hmm.
But what is unfortunate, in that 14% blacks, there's a high percentage that are getting wages below living wages.
Mm-hmm.
So evidently, the people who are coming to America are not people with skills. They're not well-to-do people. So
Yeah.
who they want to compete with? They want to compete with the blacks because the blacks, unfortunately, are at the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
And not, but I think they're more willing to work also than the blacks are. And let's face
That's
it.
not true, but blacks
You
have
really
a sense
don't
of
think
it. I don't think so.
No.
What I've come to
That's
realize,
true in Belize.
no. Let me. What has happened? Black has a certain level of entitlement that they feel like they will not work below a certain level.
Well, but yeah,
No.
whatever reason.
They feel that America owes them something, and they shouldn't be asked to do something less. While an immigrant coming in doesn't see that as an issue. They say, "Man, I'm so glad to have a job." So while
Greg, you're saying basically the same thing I say.
I'm saying the same thing, but I'm saying it with a different turn of color to kind of let you see it's not just they refuse to work, they don't want to work.
But you explain why. Yes, and that's all right. But and that's all right.
Entitlement is entitlement, though.
Let me go to support Mr. Gregory. It's nothing to do with the color of the person.
Oh, but
That's how them
don't
started.
make it about them, man.
Just
No,
like-
no, no. I think
You're
it has
making
to
it
do with.
seem like it was
but
something odd.
just give me an opportunity to explain that.
Okay, go ahead.
We have immigrants. We are calling Latino immigrants out of Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, especially during the civil unrest. They come to Belize and they will take on work that the Creole will not take on. They never wanted. In other words, we had to provide permits seasonally for people to service the citrus and the cane industry, especially the citrus, every year, just like what they were doing in Florida when Belizeans used to go there to pick citrus. So what happened in America is the same thing in other countries because the people that come from these Central American countries, which they were at the bottom of the barrel, when they come to Belize, they will work for lower wages than our Creole people. And the same thing happens in America. And
But
that's it.
it seems like that's exactly what I said. And to go around the mulberry bush
No,
to
but
explain
there's a
why.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The reasoning is
fact there's a
important.
reason is not is important, but it's not the whole gist of what I was saying. And is it not true that the immigrants will take some jobs that the blacks will not take and will do some things that the blacks won't do? Is that not true?
It is true.
Yeah, but
And it's simple as that.
Anyway,
But
but
it's
talking
not. But
about
it's not that simple, though. That's why I didn't answer it
anyway,
because.
talking about immigrants and all of that stuff, this brings me to my next issue about farming because Mr. Coy mentioned about Florida and farming, picking oranges. The new issue with the lands department in Belmopan or with the city council of Belmopan. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah,
These families bought pieces of land in Belmopan under the former mayor's stewardship, and now the lands have been revalued to a higher dollar figure.
yeah. From $2,000 to $18,000 now, which is a significant amount for people. And it seems like it was like 50 lots. So I don't know why the government is they can give away $6.9 million, and now they're complaining about 18 or 50 families that doesn't have to pay $16,000. It just seems ridiculous.
You guys have any opinion on that?
That's mine.
I'm talking. Sorry, Gregory. No, you-
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Listen. I don't know where they're going to build up, and I hope that 6.9 million is overturned. I hope they walk it back at some point, and we ought to put pressure on them to do so. Now, this land that you're talking about, Lisa, are you saying that the farmer mayor sold it to them for 2,000, but now the government wants to collect 16,000 instead of 18,000? Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, it seems that she in her tenure, she assisted a large amount of or a small amount of families in the Belmopan area to be able to get a
Access
piece
land.
of land,
Right.
access land, and apparently it sounds that she did go through the process in getting an area within the Belmopan the
Jurisdiction.
municipal area,
Yeah.
and she went through and she came to those folks and said, listen, the lands department has given us an area of land that we can distribute to you applicants, and apparently they gave them the letter saying that each pieces of or each parcel of land was $2,000 in a specific area. And I guess within the last week or 2 weeks or so, they've all received a letter from the current mayor stating that those properties are now valued over $2,000 and that there was a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, did the people pay their money already?
Some people have, and
some have, and some have paid in
some have
full.
paid completely, and some have paid.
But because if you've already paid for the land at that, made a deal at that price,
I think they got a legal case. I think they got a legal case.
Here again, I don't know. I'm at a loss. The mayor cannot do that. The mayor have no authority to authorize no sale or to write no letter.
The first one or the second mayor?
None of them can.
No, the first one did get permission from the lands
You
department.
cannot give
Let
the
me
land
finish. With,
department cannot give the mayor permission.
well, I don't know, Mr. Coy, but
I am telling you,
it seems
Don't
no, let
all
me-
area representatives give out
hand out
land to
land.
their constituencies?
no, that is not true.
Oh, Joe.
I'm misleading.
I
you.
don't.
Oh,
I
That's not
mean,
true. Come on.
Oh,
Mr.
it
you-
Coy.
doesn't sound like.
Where have I been living?
That's the problem we have. Let's understand the law and let's see whether when they apply it. What they do, what the area representative does. The area representative go and see the minister of lands.
Yes, and and
Yes.
so did Miss
So,
Yes.
but let's follow it because sometimes we say things and we need to
But
get it.
just say it, Joe. Just say it, man.
But we'll give it time to say it,
Yeah, we not got that much time. 9 o'clock, we're out of here.
man, because we don't get
What are you saying? Did the mayor, you saying the mayor didn't have the right to do it?
That can be irritating. We are misleading people into believing that area representatives are doing this thing when in fact they are not.
They are.
No,
They are. Every area representative give out land to their constituents.
that's not true. I am telling you it's not true. And to be
But
honest,
I
I am
okay.
telling you it's not true because they cannot. What they do is this. Listen to me, please. We are saying things that are not true. The area representative goes to see the minister himself, not the commissioner. He said, listen, I have these people here. We have identified some lots. I would like you to assist us in letting these people get these lots. And then the minister himself, he didn't have to go through, or he's called the commissioner and said, listen, I'm giving approval. Because the minister can do it. Their representative cannot.
Joe,
Uh-huh.
Mr.
how
Coy, I don't know if
often
you
do
know
those ministers get refused? How often do they go to the lands and say, I got some lot I want to give out to my constituents. Will you help me to do this? How
Mr.
often are they refused?
Mr. Chairman, I am trying to see.
You're trying to tell me that they go up at it at a roundabout way, but it's done anyway.
So I am trying to get us to understand. And to me, when we make these statements, we mislead people into believing that what we are saying is true. If you tell me that the area representative is extremely influential in making a determination to get that
Mr. Coy, Mr.
You're
Coy,
splitting hairs. You're
Mr.
splitting
Coy, we're
hairs.
dealing, Mr. Coy,
and
Mr.
that, you know
Coy,
what the split is? And that is the reason why we are the way we are. That's why we can't have democracy.
Mr. Coy, the mayor did go through the policy of going to the lands department, getting the minister of lands, but she was the one that somehow initiated and identified the property. The lands were issued,
Yes.
the fees were paid. I don't know who the fees were paid to.
But
And-
Mr. Morrison, can I stop you there?
Yes, sir.
When you make these statements that fees were paid, but you don't know whom they were paid to me, you
Uh-huh.
cannot, if you think one mayor,
But that it's the current mayor right now that's
I am
stopping you.
saying to
Mr.
you, if
I'm telling you, it's the current mayor that announced that the land was
if the mayor
undervalued.
is receiving money from people for land,
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
What
Mr.
are you saying?
Coy. I'm saying fees were paid. I don't know to who, whether it was through the mayor's office or whether it was to
you
the lands
cannot make
department.
payments through the mayor office, Mr. Morrison.
Okay, then it was to the lands department. The
Yes,
fees were paid.
all what the mayor can do. The mayor meets with the minister. He gets approval and says, yes, we are willing to do this. Then he makes arrangement, maybe through the commissioner of lands. And then they take it from there.
You know,
Joe, Joe.
Miss Palacio just addressed this. Miss Palacio just addressed this issue
Yeah.
yesterday, so
What
it's in
did
the
she do?
current. It's currently in the news. I didn't
How
listen.
about, tell me what happened. Tell me exactly.
Joe, well, all right, hold on, because Gregory is telling you what's happening. You were saying how it should happen.
No, I'm
And
telling
we
you,
understand that.
I am saying, I didn't tell you how it should. I'm telling you, it cannot happen that way. Then the mayor should be removed immediately. He can't.
You don't have to worry about that. She's gone already.
No mayor can
No. The new mayor is the one that's increasing the fee. The new
Oh.
mayor is the one that.
Well,
It wasn't the
she-
lands department. That's the
The
problem.
mayor cannot do it. I'm telling you.
But I'm telling you what happened, Mr. Coy, and we
Mr.
need to all look
Morrison,
into it,
I
Mr.
want to show you
Coy.
something.
Mr. Coy,
Let me-
understand exactly what you're saying.
Listen. All
Understand-
right, now
let me finish. Let me finish.
Oh, we have
Yeah.
our democracy. I'm going to show you how
let's
we have
finish you. Let's finish with this part.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll show you how we lost with democracy. Because what we are saying now, we should not be differing on. If you
Mr. Coy,
defend-
Mr. Coy, you telling me what should happen. I'm telling you
No.
what happened. I'm telling you what happened.
You are
I'm,
saying, you repeat it for me.
I'm
Repeat.
telling you, from what I know, the mayor issued some lands through the lands department and assigned them to her constituents. I
But
think
she
it was like
cannot do
30
that,
sec-
Mr. Harrison. She cannot, that's what I'm telling you.
but I'm telling you
She
it
cannot
happened.
issue
But
no land.
Mr. Coy, I'm telling you it happened because that's what
I
happened.
am telling you, it cannot. If it happened, then that you are to be blamed.
Okay, I don't know what
I
happened.
can't do it.
I and what the person that's responding
Yeah,
right now, the
I was.
person that's Mr. Coy, the person that's responding to it right now is the current mayor saying that the land was sold too cheaply. It is so something is going on
Mr.
that probably
Morrison,
should not
the
have
present
happened.
mayor cannot make the decision as to whether land was sold too cheaply or not.
And that's my point too. I agree with you. I agree
In
with you.
Belmopan, two bodies control lands in Belmopan. One, the Ministry of Lands. Two, because of what they had done before, reconstruction and development was given land by government through the Ministry of Land, hundreds of acres of land to reconstruction and development. When those properties were passed to reconstruction, then reconstruction and development owns them.
Hmm.
Then reconstruction and development was selling them.
Yes.
But they had to buy from the Ministry of Lands, from and we have government, the Ministry of Lands.
Yes. Yes.
But
No, I understand.
it was never done with the mayor.
Then something is wrong, and we need to all
Exactly.
look at it and understand what's going on.
Therefore, for us to be saying this on a national television, global, international television.
Joe, don't do
No,
that, man.
no,
Don't dis-
no, 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 what
don't discredit us like that.
no, I am praising you all.
No,
I am
because you
praising
need to
you.
you need to look at what was said before you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
You
Look at
If
what was said.
I am
Look at
saying
what
to you,
was said.
calm down
if,
on it, man.
if what was said is that the mayor gave away lands before through the Ministry of Lands, right?
It wasn't
Hmm.
said that though. That was
All
not
right.
said. The government went. The mayor went to the lands department. Joe,
Yes.
follow me. Stay the class here. Went to the lands department. Got permission from the lands department to issue these lands to her people or to sell the land at a certain price. That's what happened.
No,
Now,
Mr. Mayor. That cannot happen because it cannot do it.
That's what was
It's
done,
not
okay,
Mr.
true.
That's what
okay,
was done,
okay.
Mr.
All right, all
That's
right,
what
all right.
seems to have
I
been done,
cannot
Mr. Gray.
guarantee you
All
that
right.
if it was done, let us investigate it and I will prove to you that if it did it,
Let's look at it again next week.
When mayor representatives give land to their constituents, how do they do that?
all right, that is the question. What the area representative does, and because of the way we have accustomed to how we believe we do things, the area representative can give no land. He cannot. But what it does, he has a lot of influence because he's a part of the same government. So what the minister will do, and we had no problem with it, neither side, the PUP nor UDP, the minister feels that the area representative is better equipped to recommend who should get because the minister himself doesn't know the area. And that was a policy decision, but the area representative legally cannot do it. So what he does, he goes to the minister with the recommendation. And the
And get
minister,
and gets it done.
Do you, do
yes,
you want do you want me to expose the
and
belly here? You want me to
and
expose
then
the
the
belly
minister
here?
of lands take it from there.
Mr. Coy, do you want me to expose the underbelly here? I could tell you a
Yes, man,
story
expose it. I
that's
want to
real.
hear.
That's real. When we got our property, my family got their property on Bayman Avenue in Kings Park. I remember the entire story because my mom and my dad spoke about it so often. My mom went to the prime minister to get a piece of land so we could build a house. The prime minister said, we're having an election coming up, and talk to Mr. Usher. Mr. Usher was then running for city council for the very first time. And Mr. Usher came. My dad stopped Mr. Usher. I remember because I remember when he told my mom that he just talked to him. He said, Mr. Usher says, everything is good, but I'm not in government right now in city council. But as soon if I get elected, you definitely are going to get your piece of land. Okay? I'm just showing you the mechanism and how it works.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, he says go. And so when so my mom and my dad excitedly went and voted for Mr. Usher. He was a gentleman, and we always support him, always in our
I know
family.
him very well. Very
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, and Mr. Usher won the election. When the election won, Mr. Usher came to my dad and he says, "Okay, I'm in. Go to lands department and apply for your land, and I will make sure that you get your land." And that's how it works. That's
Yeah,
how it works.
that's exactly how it works.
And
That
and
is
and 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 so I'm saying there's a political connection, even
of
though
course
it's
it
not,
is.
even though it's not Mr. Usher that gave him the land.
But Mr.
Mr.
Morrison,
Usher
you
facilitated.
know what we are disagreeing on? I am not disputing what you are saying. That's exactly what I'm telling you, Mr. Morrison. When you are a part of a political party, and especially when you win an election, it is normal among you all that
Mhm,
the area representative, the mayor,
mhm,
anybody elected for that party, and they are the government, they will
mhm.
have certain influence. That's the
Yes.
reality of the
What
world.
was your objection, Joe?
That was not, that's the same thing I was saying about what
No, no,
happened in
no. You
Belmopan,
are
Mr.
Exactly.
taking it as if though that I
Uh-huh.
look at understand from you all. As if
No, it was the situation I explained to you, Mr. Cowie, was
what you
the
said is
situation.
true. I agree with that.
Yeah,
But
So all of that
I was
was
not saying that the mayor sold the land. That's not what I was saying. I was saying the mayor facilitated.
facilitated
She
but I
made
heard
the
you say just that the
acquisition.
next man that came in is telling
Yes,
them,
I'm telling you what the next man is
Correct.
saying. I don't know where he get that power
and you
from,
see,
because I'm saying that it should be he's telling these people that they underpaid, and that they will forfeit the land if they don't come up with the rest of the money. So
but
I don't know where he's getting that from,
the
Mr.
point I'm
Cowie.
making to you, if that is being said publicly, fine. Let's say it was done. And
Yes.
then it is highlighting the point I'm making to you, how ignorant we are. Because the mayor cannot do that. He cannot. He could say it, but he can't carry it out.
Okay. Then I hope that is true, because he's putting a lot of people
Yeah,
that have
let's
gotten
see.
their land in fair.
Let us do some investigating into that, and let's see what we come up with for next week on that, right? Now I want to move on to something else. They have finally decided that they will move the queen off the money.
Hmm.
Now, there's been some informal polls, people asking questions around, and it seems many people are not in favor of that. Any opinions one way or the other on that
You
one?
know, when you have a democratic government and when you have an elected government, they act arbitrarily, and I don't know what guides their decision and action in matters like this. But I do hope that they would take a consensus. But I have no problem with removing the Queen from our money as an independent country. I don't think it's going to bother the Queen. She's gone. I don't think it's going to bother
Yeah.
the British, the sovereign in England. Um, but we have to be careful of what we're doing and how we're making moves in this strategic point as we're looking at the ICJ
Thank
and
you.
those issues. So
Thank you.
those concern me in
Could
it.
we have waited maybe until this decision comes down?
We should wait. We
We
should
should.
wait because we need to also, I mean, with the state of the country, regardless of the prime minister's announcement today of how well the country is doing, we're still far behind in a lot of development, and economic wise. We don't even have 50% of our population in the job workforce anyway. And the other thing is, if we have less than 50% working, what value does our money have
But
having any local leader?
how can that be though if we're going 3%
Those are the people that are looking for job.
unemployment rate?
Unemployment. That's where Mr. Cole is talking about lying with statistics. Unemployment just counts people that are looking for employment.
Well, I can't believe
There
that
are lots.
50% of the population aren't
No,
working.
I was just throwing a figure out
Oh,
there. I'm not
no,
saying.
but I'm saying when you look at unemployment rate, it's not a real thing.
I understand. I
What
understand.
percent of your
Yeah,
population
it's
is
not a
employed?
scientific thing. Yeah, yeah.
No, but
All
you could
right.
have significant amount of unemployed people and still have a very low unemployment rate, because it is based on what people are looking for employment. That's how they measure that
Well, back to what I
yardstick.
was saying.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I just, for more than just homeland security purposes, and the whole issue with with the ICJ, I just would like to find out what value our money will have at this point. The value is significant moving forward. Especially, I know a lot of people that will pay. I mean, I have people all the time tell me, "Oh, Lisa, did you bring back any monies from Belize, any coins, any dollar bills?" People are,
But
they
is it
have.
because you have the queen on it?
Right,
No,
because it has the, and that's what I'm saying. The value of having a monarchy on it, how much would our money value removing
But can you?
removing any form of monarchy? That is what all I'm
I
saying.
don't know that you judge the value of the money by how much it'll sell like that on the black market. Um, I think my question is, will it help the money to value? Will the money value more as a consequence of taking the screen
I
off?
don't
And if
think
the
so.
answer is no, then
No,
why do it? Why you will have to
exactly.
pay to
No,
print
tell me
new money?
why did they change the street
Mr.
from
Chairman,
Regent Street and Albert
Well,
Street?
that yeah, kind of stupid.
let me say again, I mean, please forgive me if I am a sticker for facts. If you remove the queen from the dollar, it has nothing to do with the value of the dollar. The
No.
value of the dollar depends on our ability in our foreign assets. That's what determines the value of the dollar.
I agree with you.
When
But
that's under threat, the dollar then comes under threat, but that does not take it. The next thing now, the decision is an executive decision that is allowed to be made. And the central bank decides who signs. I signed money already. My signature is on some of the money was a director of the central bank. So again, the issue now is that everything that is being said is done quite legally. The issue of devaluing the dollar has nothing to do with whose picture is
I
on.
agree. I agree.
all
Now,
right,
the
so
issue then to me seems to be, and I think the chairman and Mr. Morrison was looking in that sense, that the British, and I don't think this will happen, may take offense to us removing the Queen. I don't think so. That's too
I don't
petty. Now,
I don't
all
think
secondly,
right. If even if they don't, let me say just this. Even if they don't take offense, what has been keeping Guatemala off of us our asses for so long? What has been keeping them? Do you
well,
think the fair the BDF maybe, or Will Mejia and the Sarstoon? Do you think that
uh,
has been it?
I I think moral suasion has been one of the good thing. They don't want to be a pariah in the eyes of the world. So I think that has a strong potential of keeping them from
If they
moving
think that the England is no longer
and
supporting our backs,
yeah,
it might make a difference.
and I think that is true. But I don't think England. I think England realized that people grow up nationalistic, and
well,
if they want to put the prime
gentlemen,
minister and stuff
the
on
issue,
our dollar,
Well, I'm
that's
not ready
fine.
to let go yet.
listen, the issue of the
I'm not
British
ready to
defending
let
the
go
lease,
the England,
the, the
even
issue
by
of,
name.
the issue of the British defending the lease. One, he came after independence. Mr.
Mhm,
Price took the chance and took independence without defense.
mhm,
After that, he negotiated, and the British gave us defense for a limited period. The
mhm,
period came finished.
mhm,
From then, it was over. The
mhm,
presence of the British was a strategic move because we said the British find that the training in the Belize, the jungles
mhm,
were very suitable.
mhm.
Strategically, it was felt, and I'm telling this as part of the foreign policy with Belize defense,
Yes.
that their presence here, not for the sake of defending Belize, but will give the perception that the Guatemalans may not interfere.
Same thing with
Mhm,
the money.
No, the situation has evolved from there to what Mr. Morrison is saying. Today, it has nothing to do with the British presence. It's a matter of moral suasion. The world has come to accept. And I think the Guatemalans are not as vicious as they were, and they become to understand that they cannot interfere with us. So I think it's a
Joe,
moral suasion thing to
Joe,
do. I
Joe,
agree with him on that.
listen to me. The world is looking at what is happening in Palestine, and what are they doing about it? Because in a case like that, where this big, mighty war laden country with all the weapons, the biggest army in the world, is crushing these little people, we are in the same situation. We are in the underdog position here with no army, no navy, no air force, and fighting against a big country, and we are not using diplomacy, which is the only weapon at our disposal. We are shaking our fist in the face, and the dead never come. I was watching And let me finish this because I want to say this point with that gunboat where you talk about the Guatemalan rammed the boat. The Guatemalan boat did come up against the Brit. It wasn't like it was rammed because the man even to push out their hand to try to stop it from make contact with the boat. I don't. The jingoism is not helpful, in particular with us not having the kind of support that we had. If you can't push where the people one side would help you, and then if the big fight is someone that you have no.
I agree with you. There seemed to be no real call for it at this time.
I'm trying to figure the rationale.
This government have made a lot of moves in terms of trying to be nationalistic. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't play out with true rational
They're
thinking.
listening to certain voices that are dangerous.
They have an agenda. They have an agenda, and I think it goes back to a PUP George Price agenda. And maybe you guys won't hold on to it, but it is that of turning us into a republic and a dislike for everything British and everything that is culturally. I think it is. I think it is. It starts with the 10th of September and it runs right down to everything that we know.
There is no parallel between Israel and Palestine situation and Belize and Guatemala. Guatemala has never occupied Belize, never did. Now, I will say this. My opinion is that I think that those people, when they're here, I think they are becoming a little bit provocative unnecessarily. I agree that we want to assert our territorial integrity, and that would seem to make sense. But sometimes it's better to use a diplomatic approach.
You have to, not all the time.
We didn't ram the Guatemalan boat. We just went.
We agree. But what I'm saying, the point I made is that
they did what they always do, Mr. Cowie.
Yeah, but Mr. Morrison,
circling the island.
Yeah, but the difference I'm trying to draw here.
No, but you said Mr. Mejia is becoming more aggressive, and I didn't see
that. The Guatemalans rammed the Belize boat, right?
Yes.
Now, let's suppose this big man knocked you in your nose, and you're so small. Now you want to jump out there. If I were you, I'd run. Now,
I think there were some people saying, "Let's return. Let's go. Let's get out of here."
Make any sense that they rammed that boat? What should those people in that boat have been done? What should the volunteer guards have been done? The defense force. I believe the government.
I don't want them to do anything. I
think the government did the right thing. They immediately took it up and reported it.
Yes.
Well, see the dangerous narrative. See the dangerous narrative. I don't think, because when you say about the Guatemala rammed the boat, you in your mind you get a picture of this them people that ram them people boat.
Yeah,
that I didn't see that happening.
No, it was not a ramming. Yeah.
It wasn't a ram.
So I think we have to be careful with that, because then the people who are listening out there are thinking something else.
So,
I don't think I said ram the boat. I don't think I used that term.
I think that's
it's been used. That's the term.
That's the term that's been used. But I don't think I used that.
Yeah, I don't think that happened.
I'd have think ram would have been something that would have dented.
Right.
Can I come back to? I think three of us maybe is saying that let's not retaliate physically. Let's go through the diplomatic challenge this week.
I agree.
But you are saying, you agree?
I agree that no, we can't come up against
Guatemala. So we agree with that one.
No. But I'm saying exactly as you said, we have a right to our presence there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have a right to our presence there.
Diplomacy is the only route.
Diplomacy is the only route for Belize.
It's the only route. How did we arrive at this? Because of the dollar?
Yes, I don't know how we got to the dollar to Sarstoon, but hey.
But anyway,
we make some turns sometime.
I think we should keep we keep the change, the money, man. Let's just left it some man.
Mario Lara says that the Guatemala mean a Belizean territory, and that's provocation.
It is.
Mario, how do you feel about the dollar? The Queen taking the Queen off of the dollar. Are you in favor of that?
Oh, Mario, Mario is in favor of that. I could tell.
You think he is?
For sure. Let him type it in, but I'm sure.
Yeah,
Mario is against the British system because of the
And he
Marian
also wants to
impact
fight
of
the
that.
Guatemalans, but from the US. You know, when come down here and go up on a river or fight, eh?
I
He will
think
fight
Mario
them
have been.
from over there.
I think Mario have been on the on.
He might
Whether
have
he
been,
has,
yeah, he might have
I
been.
think Mario have
But,
been on.
but
Whether
are
he
See,
we?
he said he has no objection about the
has.
money.
Yeah, there
Thanks,
is.
Mario.
I tell you though, I don't know that at this point we should be putting ourselves in a position where
We're
we
picking
could,
stupid fights at this point.
yeah.
We're picking
You
situations that
know,
we don't need at this
I
point.
don't know this to be a fact, Mr. Gentleman, but I believe that that discussion has taken place between Belize and the UK.
I think so. I would hope. I would have
I
hoped
would
so.
hope.
I would hope. I would hope
I
so. I
would
would hope.
I
hope.
don't think that
I
At
would
Belize
the
hope so.
very least, I would
Yeah.
hope.
Belize
Yeah.
would have acted unilaterally, and
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that would
I
be
would hope.
contempt. That, to me, would be an inference of contempt for the Queen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
I
agree.
don't. I wonder about the mindset of people like Mario, because Mario is dead set against the Guatemalans and feel like we should keep objecting to the Guatemalans being anywhere near our border.
Mhm.
I think personally, 18 million people are a substantial market, and we should be instead
Oh, we
working
want
on
Guatemala to be our
establishing
friend.
trade. We
We want.
want to be friends.
Now,
We,
Guatemala doesn't want to be our friend, Mr. Chairman.
well, we
They're the
don't
one
know
that
that.
claim they're
They're
claiming
ready.
our country. If
No,
you
but
claim my
yeah, yes,
country,
but that one, that are up to that level, that administrative level there. But for
yeah,
the most part, there are many people across borders between
yes,
Benquede.
yes,
A lot of
yes.
Guatemalan children come to school on a regular basis. A lot
Mhm.
of Belizean attend university over there in Guatemala. There are friendship, intermarriage, all kinds of things going on between our two people. In fact,
Mr.
we
Chairman,
have a
Mr.
substantial
Chairman,
amount of Guatemalans living in Belize right now.
Very true.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
I went
Chairman,
to that border for 2.5 years.
Mr. Chairman,
And
Uh-huh.
what the chairman is saying is true.
Mr. Chairman.
That
What
was
if I
a
tell you
criticism
what
to
if I
the
tell you
people.
I'm Guatemalan?
I wouldn't even care about it.
Okay.
You're not Guatemalan, you're not Belizean. Why did Belize give up his currency and adopted the US dollar as his currency? They should not. They
I
should
think
not do that. That's ridiculous.
I
You
think
see,
if we come back to that point, it's very important. I can tell you for sure that the majority of the Guatemalan people are not in favor of no Guatemalan claim over this country.
Yeah, of course.
They who are
But
in
yet
favor
they
of
have taught it in school because I've run into so many.
I see why. We got 5 minutes. We're gonna cut to short, man.
The first thing they say to me is that Belize belong to Guatemala. That's the first thing they say to me, and
Yeah,
I'm
but
running
you are
to.
talking to the minority. I'm saying to you that
I'm talking to just the regular people that are shopkeepers or whatever they are. I'm not. I know I'm not talking
how
to.
often you've been to Guatemala?
I've never been to Guatemala.
Yeah,
I'm
let me tell
talking.
you
I'm
something.
talking
I
about
go
people
there.
I've interacted it to in the United
I know
States.
about Guatemala. We used to cry between each other. I was out there for almost 2 years. No, what I find is that in the what they call remember Guatemala is run by a hierarchy, what they call
Yeah,
the
oligarch.
that they run it, that the military runs it.
Yeah,
You move president and all.
yeah,
So if it's at that level, this claim is being pushed and maintained.
yes.
Oh, political football.
That's right. When it comes down, the people on the border, they are very friendly with this other side. They move across easily and they are very friendly. So they are not coming with this thing that something's happened. To come
Yeah.
down to the point about the removing of the Queen, let's look at those countries apart from the Guatemalan threat to Belize that have already gone Republican, where they have removed the Governor General as representing the Queen and put instead a president in place. And Britain, in its development fund to the CARICOM countries, continue the same relationship.
But then they don't got to claim from a country.
Now I'm saying apart from the Guatemalan threat.
Yeah, but then Joe, that's saying Joe. That while we deal with the Guatemalan threat, that to me, if you
Are you suggesting, Mr. Chairman?
I'm
that
suggesting that you
the
saying
move
apart from the Guatemalan threat is saying a lot.
no, what I'm saying to you that you believe that by removing the Queen,
Yes.
he could invite a lessening of sympathy for Belize from the UK in the event of a Guatemalan trip?
They might look at us as a bit arrogant, but more than that, I think that's another bigger danger. The bigger danger is in Guatemala realizing, and make no mistake, and I want you to remember this, that one of maybe the second or the third largest arms supplier to the Israelis happens to be the United Kingdom. They are one of the veto up to the end, so they are thick as thieves with the Guatemalans also. I am wondering if something like that should come about. What are our chances? What we now I've met, and I want to go back to the part about the Guatemalan people themselves. I've had several Guatemalans when I was doing construction work used to work for me. I one of them was a former Guatemalan soldier who told me about a story where they were aligned on the border in 1970 something, and there was a major earthquake in Guatemala, which was the only reason that they turned back, and that thwarted the whole invasion scheme. And in fact, Salvador was aligned with them in that move to come and take Belize.
That was in 1977.
Sometime around there. So I'm saying, though, most of them that I spoke to said that they're happy to have Belize as another country that they can run to, as opposed to the same kind of oppressive regime that they live on in Guatemala. So the peasants, if you will, the regular people, except for those, how would you call them? We have a lot of them here too, the cronies, the ones who are follow the line that they're fed every time. I think, and that was significant amount, which makes that dangerous also. But for
I want to mention one. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Right, no. For the most part, I think we should live together. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to just point out something about what happened in San Pedro with the Central American celebration, where it seems that for some reason that parade was bigger than the 10th of September, and it's probably going to be bigger than the 21st from what I'm gathering. And so we have to be careful how we are undermining our own selves in what we're promoting and what we're teaching, and how we're educating the people and assimilating them into our society.
I would this gentleman that Belize has made many overtures to Guatemala. 2, 1, trade. 2, we even created a port of entry out at Hunting Key, so that they didn't have to come in legally to Punta Gorda. 3, we had gone into the partial agreement with them, partial trade agreement, just as we did with Mexico. So I would say that Belize made tremendous strides towards working out friendship and good relations with Guatemala. And for some reason, I believe that when Guatemala made the decision, I believe that their intent that they want to bring the claim to an end. But it was difficult for them because, remember, the president was removed because of trying to do it. It's hard.
So you think going to ICJ is an olive branch on their part to try and end this claim? Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Well, not an olive branch, but I believe it was a way of saving face and get out of it. Knowing that they go to, I don't think they went. This is an opinion, of course. I don't think they went to the ICJ with this strong belief that they will win a case. I think that they wanted to bring an end to it.
I would hope so. I tend to agree
That's
with you.
an opinion I have.
I think we can live together in this region. I think it would be better for us to be able to trade with these people and to live peacefully with them, as opposed to, we don't want to see a war.
I want to see cross tourism. They have one of the largest set of Mayan ruins and temples and stuff. And if we could share what they have, and they bring tourists to our side, and we
and they have some money.
They
have some people with money.
Yeah. Guatemala has a large investment in Belize. Guatemalan have a very large investment in Belize. So that is something that we don't talk about much, and probably we.
I hope we go at it from that direction, as opposed to this saber rattling and fish shaking.
I think we have a year and a half more for ICJ to fully come to conclusion, Mario.
Gregory, is it behind you the Guatemalans are barking?
You know,
Lisa has a very big dog. I see a picture jump every time that dog bark. Folks, we're out of time. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Lisa, we'll have to offer before we go. Cause I usually go at least something to throw in before we go.
21st things. Lots going
Independence
on.
Day.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to wish everyone home and abroad a very happy in the 43rd Independence Day, number one. And there's several celebrations going on around, at least around here in the LA area. I will put up I will have a few of those flyers up later on tonight for you guys to check out for those who wants to visit the local LA area. There's a dance at Prince Hall. There's an activity during the day at another location. So there's quite a bit of Belizeans doing functions around. I know Friday night there's like a little dance at the Bombay Lounge, which is upstairs from Little Belize restaurant. So there's quite a bit of functions going on for those Belizeans who truly want to be festive and patriotic and celebrate the 21st.
Is Friday a holiday?
No.
Is Monday a holiday?
I think so.
Yeah,
The 21st is Sunday, right?
No, Saturday.
Saturday. Oh.
I thought I saw a calendar that at least I thought I stand to be corrected that Friday was going to be an observation holiday for Belize.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know.
At least that's what I thought I saw. Maybe that was incorrect, but I do know that the calendar was updated twice before an official one was sent out again.
Okay.
Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day, guys. And all our listeners,
Likewise,
thank you very much. We'll see
be
you next
safe,
week.
everyone. Drive safely. The motorists on motorcycles, drivers in cars and trucks. Please be safe on the road. I don't want to have to wake up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and again on Monday to hear the death toll for road traffic accidents. We're losing our young people to road traffic accidents as well. So let's be careful on the road, guys. I truly wish you all a safe weekend.
Yeah, don't be drinking and driving, right? That's the key. Seems to be the main cause of many of the accidents. Alcohol. Yeah.
CY, thank you, folks. See you next time. Next week, same time, same.
Another destination that the turn.
Come on. Early.
Don't make me. Well, my days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark, then dog them bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark, then dog them bite much worse than them bark. They tried to commit me to slavery, use me as human machinery. They did not expect such bravery. Grow me dreadlocks, they think me crazy. My grandmother, her name is Daisy. Say young man, no make nothing faze me. Smoke me Buddha, watch me eye hazy. Me no worky Yankee dollar, they think we lazy. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark, then dog they bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark, then dog them bite much worse than them bark. Have me standing in a welfare line, cause I am black, feel me no mankind. Move the chains from my feet, put it wrong me mind, cheating me like I committed a crime. But I know it was only a matter of time before I get paid in full for my rhyme. Even though it was a tedious climb, I held on to mine like a grape to a vine. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark, then dog them bite.
That the Fred don't say. All haters could just raise up like they got easy on it. Incognito, like Nick Romano. We live with life in a stealth mode. Off for them pics when we touch road. No half a clip, we carry the full load. We keep the pedal to the metal, the flow board. We live life in a stealth mode. Cause enough for them pics when we touch road. No half a clip, we carry the full load. We keep the pedal to the metal, flow board. You like the game, but the game not like you. You only talk big when you're along with your crew. But when you're solo, in the morning do. Skip to me low. Remember, say, we come up from mud. We not just plaster, we apply mud. Girlfriend tick like mud. You cannot stop the blessings we
Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from a Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel.
don't need to recount the votes. I'm here to destroy all your hopes, dreams, aspirations. It's like poetry with musical inclinations. I see you peripherally, breathe easily, step lightly like on eggshells, or see real shells. I ring bells, bling bling is green. Don't necessarily need to be seen, but I do need to be heard. In my brain I've accumulated mucho verbs. I'm taking herds to the third curve, tentacles reaching up into the suburbs. 10 o'clock, do you know where your child is at? Inside of a room, all black, grown men beats, that's where we at. As I stack chips, pockets ain't made of glass, so you can't see me dip.
Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from a Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel.
Came from the water, evaporated moisture. Wavy wave in here, I do it for the culture. Cypher, music, I do this. 2023, still moving with a movement. BK where I came from, but the BX raised me. In 2015, I became wavy, named by SP. The streets never changed me. I just work smarter, I just work harder. Wanna be Nino, so I need a Carter. So I moved to Harlem, that's where it all started. Discovered my flow, and I became a problem. Can't solve them, why would you want to? I do what I want to, you do what you can do. When it come to bars, I'm lit like a candle.
Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from a Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel.
Plus, I've got no area. I'm scarier than rebels in Somalia. Fools be thinking my last name it's Ochoa. Supplier, mozzarella. Observe as I bum rush the Federal Reserve. Sensory overload, making you victim of my venom. Breaking down your molecular structure before I digest even. Instant paralysis. I'm crazy swift with this. You're on my hit list. I'm on your chick's wish list because of this ability to strike repeatedly. Stay coiled. Fools test this and boils. I bring freaks out at night like the gargoyles.
Source from the Pharaoh.
Real with a Creole, but we no normal. With a coffee and we royal. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like taffy. You coulda holla say me ugly, but a loon pretty girl stay to chase me. Royal coffee and my style sticky like taffy. How could you call me ugly when a loon pretty girl stay to chase me? Minor, tell you things you want make you catch feelings. Your mere existence you want left to examine. Ebenezer me gone, me know for feel dumpling. Believe woman sweet like stew pumpkin. See me, but you don't know me. Confident, say that me bossy. Inquisitive, you call me nosy. Defend me rights, holler that me chancy. Me no dey show no mercy, we don't take no back chat from nobody. You know have feel like me, but you must respect me. Tell this more. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like taffy. You coulda holla say me ugly, but alone pretty girl stay to chase me. Me cool and deadly. Machine gun Kelly. Machiavelli. Stay ready like Freddy. We have woman plenty. Woman the city, woman the country. You coulda act like you no want believe me. Ask Dwight, that me ballet. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like taffy. You coulda holla say me ugly, but alone pretty girl stay to chase me. Royal coffee, and my style sticky like taffy. How could you call me ugly when alone pretty girl stay to chase me? Lot of sexy woman come out of the valley. Me like the way the body move when them the party. And a pitch white and Alta Leslie. And the one name Gilda Courtney. Dano Jam, Sadamus Jelly from me Lille. Me know where we do with me till it. Me grow up as a bedroom bully. Book out with vein full up them belly. I am a royal coffee. My style stick